Oh. Velma.
Your full name.
Velma Ilene Potter.
And how old are you today?
94.
And what do you think about that?
I think that's pretty old.
Just describe yourself as a child, a young child.
I'm stubborn.
Stubborn? That's it? You were just stubborn?
Well, there might have been other things, but I know that I was always getting in trouble for being stubborn. And I'd rather take the punishment than admit whatever it was.
Oh, gee whiz. I wanted to be everything. When I read the Bobbsey twins, I wanted to, to be on the ocean, I guess fishing or something, which would have scared the devil out of me if I had been able to do it. And I want to be an opera singer. I want to be a ballet dancer. I can't think of all the things I wanted to be, but I probably told you a million times.
I remember the opera singer.
Yeah.
Didn't you make up a song with Violet?
Yeah, that that was our opera. We wore bitty rags, Mom called them, and it was her old dresses. And if she had any shoes that we could wear that were still wearable, we would dress up in bitty rags and sing.
Had you ever seen an opera before, or were you
No.
just okay?
I've only seen 2 operas, and I could have missed them. It would have been fine.
I wanted to be a pilot because I wanted to fly.
Yeah.
and I don't know. I read stories about women who flew, and it just sounded good.
There you go.
I wanted to be an opera singer too, and I can't even sing.
How about a pilot who sings opera while they're flying?
yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, before you move on, sing the opera song you made up.
Ina, na, na, wana. Violet and I played, opera, and one of us was the audience and one was the performer.
Was there music in the house?
No, not until we got a radio, which I
Okay.
think, I don't know how old I was when we got a radio, but Dad came walking down the street. He'd been in town and was carrying this radio, which was about that tall and about that wide.
Huh.
We'd never had a radio.
Wow.
And we were all excited about it. And not very long after that, the police came out and they asked for Dad and asked him if he had a radio. And he said, yeah, he just got it. And he said, well, somebody reported him stealing a radio. And so I guess he had a certificate or,
To show a receipt.
yeah. And besides, he bought it from the owner,
Yeah.
which he knew.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Gee whiz. That would be scary. You buy your first radio.
yeah.
And then they come out and accuse you of stealing it.
But we, at night we'd all sit around like kind of in a circle
Uh-huh.
around the radio, and we listened to same old stuff every night. Andy and Amos and Andy
Oh, really?
and Lum Abner.
Okay, so it was a little bit like watching TV, right?
Yeah, except no pictures.
Yeah, 'cause that was exciting though.
Yeah, I think a lot I songs in my head. At night when I go to bed,
You
I hear songs.
That rhymes.
I sing songs.
You do?
I don't not out loud,
Yeah, well, you can sing them out loud.
but I don't.
It's okay. Your bedroom is separate enough that
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to keep it.
They probably think I'm screaming or something because they're right up above me.
You're on.
All right. What is the first pet you remember?
Well, cat, I sort of let it home because it followed me a little bit, and so I would pick it up and carry it and then put it back down, and it followed me all the way home. It was Goldie. She was yellow. We had her for years. And I told Mom and Dad that she followed me, which she did, but that I coaxed her and held her part of the way.
What do you think is the most important thing to do to maintain a healthy, long life?
That's
Well, move around is one. And I suppose eat things that are good for you. I can't say that I've always done that. Exercise.
Cake is good. Yeah, cookies, good for you. Yeah, exercise, yeah. But, you know, probably growing up you were active anyhow, because
Oh,
you just
yeah.
had to be.
We,
You didn't have a Nintendo or a video game or a
Yeah.
phone to stare at.
we didn't have buses or taxis in our town. And so we had to walk to grade school was about a mile and high school was about 2 miles. And you had to go rain or shine.
Or snow,
Yeah.
yeah.
Occasionally school was closed if the snow was too
Yeah,
high.
right. Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we grew up in Ohio, I walked
Probably
to school.
similar.
Yeah, I walked to school for first 8 years. I mean, and then couldn't wait till the spring because then we could ride our bikes. Everybody rode their bikes to school, and there'd be like this jam that sold like 150 bikes, and you could. It was amazing that I could find my bike at the end of the day.
Well, I could find mine if I had one because I didn't have one.
Well, we didn't get a lot of Christmas presents because we were very poor, but we got things like Lotto, and I think when Monopoly first came in, we got a Monopoly game, and anyone was a favorite because we didn't get very many. Grandma used to always give it, crochet us a hat, and I don't know what she did for Jim. And my aunt, one Christmas, I think it was Christmas, sent a letter saying that she had sent Violet and me a hat, and the kids wore hats then, so did adults. And so we got the package, and there was like a sailor's cap, velvet, and green. And so she said the green one is for Violet, and that's what she said, the green was for Violet. So, okay, I didn't get a hat, so we told her my hat didn't arrive, and in the meantime, Violet wore her little green hat everywhere, and it had a red band around the bottom. And so once my aunt said, well, I just can't understand because I sent it in the same package. She said one hat was pushed into the other one. And she would, so when I finally got my green hat, it was all faded to the brim because it's been buried for a long time. Probably, I went to a birthday party. I've only ever gone to one birthday party when I was little, and we were pretty little. They played, what was the thing where you go in the other room and kiss? Post office. Post office. Yeah. They don't do that anymore?
I've never heard of
Well,
it.
we were little kids, I don't know, second, third, fourth, some grade like that. And Gordon Yanis was my cousin's cousin. And I kind of had a crush on him. He had black curly hair. That's all I remember about him. And I don't remember how you happened to go in the bedroom with him, but that's what you did. You went in the bedroom and kissed. So that's my first kiss that I remember.
Okay, how about as a teenager?
Well, I don't remember being so stubborn, but I know that I still am, which you probably know.
There's a theme here. So you were a stubborn child and a stubborn teenager.
Do you remember what you did for your 16th birthday?
No. How do you like that?
I don't remember
Nothing, probably.
either.
Nothing, because, we were poor and we didn't have parties.
I say, look out.
How about your last day of high school? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Did you have a graduation?
I do remember that because I was up on the last row in the, we had bleachers and we're sitting up there and my name was Sharp. That's why I was up there, and they called them one at a time to come down. And I went right past the walk down all the way over to the end, had to turn around and come back and made a big scene. And I didn't fall down the stairs, thank you.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, so that's why I remember it.
Well, so what did you do for fun on the weekends?
We went to a lot of movies. You were asking me earlier who my favorite movie star was, and I really don't remember. I remember that I liked Alice Faye, but I don't remember who the male one was. I'm sure there were men that I liked.
Was how much did the movies cost to go to?
I think like the one in Frankfurt, they showed westerns and with it they showed a one that goes by the week. You look at one chapter and then the next week
Find the next one.
and that cost a nickel I think for kids, and on Saturday mornings it was free.
Ooh.
And the others I think it was about a quarter. My mother was, I think, greatest influence on me. She had, a lot of ways. She had a really hard life, and I don't think she ever complained about it. And I think she was able to a lot of times, find the good in everything. She had 4 kids, and she sheltered us when we had thunderstorm and lightning, which I was afraid of. We all were. She would sit down and she had 2 kids on each side, and she didn't dare move as long as the storm was going on. She read to us when we were little and encouraged us to, when we got a little older, to go to the library, because she told us that it was something that, I can't think of his name now, Andrew Carnegie had donated libraries, I guess, all over the United States, and they were free. Before that time, you had to pay to get a library book. So she encouraged us to use the library. She also told us that voting was a right, and that women had not been able to vote not too many years before, and it was a right and we should vote. All those things really impressed me when I was not very old. I think she was just a really, really good person. My dad was a cement contractor for a good part of his life. As I said, he had a 3rd grade education. His father was a cement contractor, and they did basements, because most everybody had a basement in Indiana, and foundations and sidewalks. And he did bird baths and pretty little things to put in your garden. He did a lot of interesting work with cement, and I was always really proud of him for doing those things, and I don't know how he ever figured them out. I wouldn't know how to figure out, what you needed to put in to make cement, or to where you should put the foundation. So I always thought he was pretty smart, and if he'd had an education, I don't know what he would have done. He liked to read. He wasn't a very good reader because he's very slow. He only went through 3rd grade, and so although he read a lot, he always read his whole life. It took him a while. And when we got the newspaper, it came in the evening. We had to save it until Dad got home from work, and then he read it first. And we'd sit there because we wanted to, look at the funnies or do something, and it took him a long, long time to read it. I followed Violet around like a puppy, and it never really occurred to me till after she died, that I did that. I was still doing it. And so we were always very close. And I really missed her, because I think that if you ask me who's your best friend, I would have to probably say Violet. And because she was there, my whole life until she died. She was smart. She did well in school, and everybody expected me to come up to her standards, but I didn't do it. And well, it's kind of funny, because I said to Doris one time after we were grown, we were talking about growing up together, and she said, well, Jim was spoiled because he was the only boy, which is probably true, because I'm sure that he got by with some things that girls wouldn't. So I said, Violet, I just accepted her, that she was in charge. She and I didn't really have too much to do with Doris as we were growing up, because Doris was 4 years younger than I,
and she had all her friends, and we were not among them. She had very different ideas about everything, but after we were grown, we all were very friendly with each other.
How about a young adult?
Yeah?
Well, you were a young adult when you decided to leave Indiana and come to California, so you probably were kind of, had a little bit of adventurousness.
You know, really the reason I came to California was because I was always very close to Violet. I said before that I think she was my best friend. She was 2 years older. And so we walked to school together. You know, we just seemed to do everything together. And I got used to her. She's just part of my life. And she met Ray, who was your dad's best friend. And so we were very close all the years that we were married because they still remained friends their whole life. So what was my question now?
You were supposed to describe yourself as a young adult. So I said maybe a bit of adventurous in you because you came to California and then you...
I wasn't aware of it. The reason I came to California was because she was coming.
Yeah.
And she said about a month before, she said, if you want to go with me, I'll pay your fare out there on the train. So I thought, okay, I'm working at the cigar factory. I didn't want to work there forever. And so she said, you can save enough to take care of yourself until you get a job. So it took us 2 days to come on the train. And we both went to employment agencies to look for work. And I found a job in a day or two. So I went to work, I think I went to work a week after I left home. So I started working right away in San Francisco.
Okay, but what's the word to describe yourself as a young adult?
You know, I can't think of anything to describe me. I wasn't really adventurous. I just came because I trotted along with Violet. I was clumsy. I'd fall over my own shadow.
Yeah, well that hasn't changed.
I thought, when I saw San Francisco, I thought, and probably still, it's the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. We came across the mountains. I'd never seen a mountain. But when we got to, what is that bay before you get to San Francisco on the train? It was a dirty, awful old place. And I was so disappointed because I heard about the Golden Gate and I said, is this it? But we kept on going. And then when we saw the bay, I just was awestruck. And we went to the ferry building, and Ruth and Leonard were meeting us. And so we met them there and went out the door, and there was a band marching by playing, and it was a parade, and it was Admission Day, September 9th, which they don't observe anymore. And so we stood up. That was the first thing we did when we got into San Francisco. And as you looked up the hill, like toward Twin Peaks, the sky was blue as all get out, except where these big rolling white clouds came rolling down the hills. And I don't know, I think it took me a few days to get my breath. It was just everywhere you looked, everything you did was something I'd never done before, never seen before. So it's kind of like growing up overnight. Well, it was really good to us. We stayed with Ruth and Leonard, who lived on Twin Peaks, and that was a good way to have a first impression. And you could look out and see both bridges from their house. You could see all the way down Market Street. And from their house to down to the next houses below them were these steep stairs. And you had to walk down those to catch the bus in the morning to go to work. Yeah, there's so much to do, or used to be so much to do there, that it's hard to pick out a favorite thing. But we used to go to what did they call those shows? Sneak previews. And I think they were at midnight, and they would, it would be a coming show, and with them was the movie star, one of the stars of the show, and they would come out and sing if that's what they did, or, perform something live. And so I'd like to go in there.
Well, I was impressed with his looks.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had a coat. They were popular then. I might have had them in the service, but they just came down to here and had a band around the bottom. And after the war, guys were still wearing them, and they were usually a check or a plaid. And I don't know, I liked them.
Liked his clothes or like the way he looked?
Liked the way he looked and his clothes.
Yeah.
I know that I was unsure. I just never thought about getting married. When I was little, I know that I always said I wanted 4 kids, but then that's all I said. And my friend, Mary Beth Douglas, said, she said I wanted 4 kids and get married and have 4 kids. And I said, well, I want to have 4 kids, but I don't want to get married. She said, you can't do that. And I said, yes, you can. And then I named a girl who I knew didn't have a father. It took me a long time to figure that out. So, we probably discussed it because we were married within a week of each other. They were engaged first, but I can't remember what our discussions were.
I think that's how it was when you and Uncle Art and Mom and Dad were first married. You didn't have TVs, you had radio.
No.
Because didn't you guys all listen to Lucille Ball on there?
Yeah, we were, they got their TV before we did.
Yeah. So, and the screen was probably this big, right?
That's about how big, and it weighed a ton.
And it weighed
You
1,000
couldn't
pounds.
carry it by yourself. And it was full of those tubes.
Oh, that's right.
Always had to replace tubes.
I've thought about that a lot of times. I didn't have any. I stumbled from one thing to another, and I didn't purposely try to have some goal in mind. So it was probably that whatever opportunity presented itself.
Describe yourself as a professional.
Well, I wouldn't even really call me a professional. I was just a steno, and then later secretary. But I didn't ever think of it as a profession. It was just a job to help get us where we wanted to go. My first job was with AT&T. I was a teletype operator, and I didn't know anything about teletypes. It was a connecting one, like the ones that used to say number please, only we typed it. We had a code, and they mostly were military calls that we made, and from all over the United States. And you had to, like the one I remember most was SBSNDG, South Bend Sending, to get a line. And then you had to memorize where that line went because you needed a, what do they call this thing, something to raise the, your voice would only go so far without a repeater. That's what they were. And so you'd say repeater. I have no idea what a repeater is, but we'd have to tell them that. And then we'd go along, and then another repeater some other place. And it was very interesting, I thought. And they had, that was during the war, this long lines where we worked was all men before the war, and the young men were all drafted, and so that left these positions open on the teletype, and Violet was a secretary. And so my job was teletype half a day and then doing the office work half a day. They told us that we would be the first to know when the war ended because it would have to go through the office. But it ended at night. And so we didn't get to hear it. But he said it would take 3 minutes from the time it left the East Coast to get to the West Coast. So,
Wow. Compare that to technology today.
yeah.
huh?
But I was so sleepy the first couple of weeks I worked there because I don't know what all these men were doing, but they had big rows and rows of equipment, and the place buzzed all the time. And, you know, tapping sounds and, I don't know, sounds of the equipment working. It was very soothing.
All that white noise put you to sleep.
And there was one for a store downtown. They were looking for office work. And so it was a nice department store. So I went down there, and when I got there, the first thing that happened to me is I went up to go through the door, and there was this man all dressed up in a uniform. And he said, the store opens at 11. It was sort of something like that. Scared me to death. And so I was a short walk to where the phone company was. So I went down to where Violet was, and I told her, I'm going home. I don't want to work here. And so I told her what happened, and she said, well, just a minute, Mr. Vunderink, who was in charge of this department where I was, just lost a girl just quit, and he needs somebody. She said, let me talk to him. And so she took me over and introduced me to him, and they hired me on the spot. And I had to go pass a physical, and that's all I had to do to have the job. He said, if you're anything like your sister, you know, we want you. So that's how I started my career. Yeah.
Describing yourself as a professional, and you're saying
Oh,
you
well,
just thought of it as a job, and they wanted you to come back to work.
yeah, they wanted me to come back permanently, and I said, well, I will. She said, you can, you know, just come for a couple of years. And I said, well, I will come for a couple of years, but I won't work evenings. I won't work past 5. Said my days belong to you, but when I'm off work, they belong to my family, and I'm not going to change either one. And so, you know, if you will let me come back on those conditions, I'll work. And so they said yes, and I worked altogether 31 years.
For Cal Water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The things that other people found easy that you found hard, or vice versa.
The only thing I could think that was easy is that a lot of people thought it was hard, was writing rhymes.
Came easy to you. That came easy.
Yeah, very easy. And so as a result, I think everywhere I worked, I wrote rhymes for various occasions. Even when our Visalia district had a pet owl, and I remember they asked me to write a poem about that owl. I don't remember its name or anything about it, but at any rate, I had a poem for them. They put it in our little local newspaper.
How about hard? What did you find that was hard for you to do?
Shorthand was hard. It made my feeling hard for me to learn. F is that. We don't have a G, you have a G. It's a G. And H is a dot.
I thought A was a dot.
Honest. Let me look in here and see what honest is. Well, there's hood, so it must be the placement of the dot.
Well, that's confusing. You said it wasn't confusing. That's confusing to me.
Okay.
The placement of the dot.
Yeah. Because that's T-E, yeah. H-I is like that. It's a circle with a little bit.
Were you happy to retire?
Yes.
That was a stupid question, wasn't it? I thought so. That's what.
I was also happy to work though.
Did you ever consider getting another job after retiring?
Well, I was gonna volunteer for, I don't remember this.
Not a stripper or anything.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
No, I thought.
Yeah, this was a place in Santa Cruz where you could go get food and stuff and old people. But Paige was born and I went to school with her a lot of the times.
Oh, that was a second job, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Okay.
And then now, if you could do it all over again, what would you want to do? As far as professional.
Oh, I was perfectly happy with what I did.
That's a good answer.
I asked Mom what she thought I should take, and she said, well, you have two choices. She said, you're not going to college because we can't afford it. So she said, you can either work in an office or work in a factory. So I said, work in an office. And that was it.
How about as a parent? Describe yourself as a parent.
I hope that I was a good parent. I worried about it the whole time that I worked. Even though when Grandma was taking care of you, she probably took better care than I did. That always bothered me, not being able to make enough to live on, So that's why I went to work.
What was the hardest part about being a working mother?
I didn't want to leave the kids. I thought about that for years. I don't have any business working, but we couldn't have built a house if I hadn't worked. We couldn't have had a lot of things.
Probably when you kids were little kids growing up. That was fun, interesting, educational, a little bit of everything. I was so afraid to have Jerry because we thought Chris was the most wonderful thing that ever happened. And she told me that, your heart just gets bigger. You have more love. You don't have less for one than you do another. And I think that's true.
How did you manage childcare when you worked?
Well, most of the time I was fortunate that I had Mom and Dad. I always felt guilty about working, always, but on the other hand, we wouldn't have had this house. We wouldn't have had a lot of things.
True.
And that little house that we lived in down there, was such a little thing, and then it was all falling apart.
It helped us all build up the tolerance for black mold too.
Yeah.
So that served well over the years.
You know what? I thought when I was little that I didn't want them. Yeah.
And now?
And now I'm glad I had them.
How many children did you want?
I wanted 4 actually because Art there were 4 in his family. And I thought we had so much in common. It turned out we had nothing in common. But they had 4 children and we had 4 children, and I can't remember the other things that I thought we had in common, but we really didn't.
Are there any that you'd like to trade in?
Any what?
Children you'd like to trade in?
Sometimes. I used to feel that way sometimes.
Describe yourself as a grandparent.
Oh, proud. I don't know whether it's a good grandparent or not. But I think I tried to be.
I think you got to spend more time with your grandchildren than you did with your kids.
Yeah.
I think, they probably would be shocked at things in general. I'm talking about off this property, but on the property, it'd get the same thing. And they'd be shocked. Yeah. I think they'd like it. But I think that it's hard to imagine what's out there now. That what we had was the same thing, the same place. Starting up here, there were 3, I think those were pine trees that were along here, that were right along the driveway. And how far apart were they? Far enough for the car to get caught in between them, because that's what Jerry did when he backed out. This was all gravel. Could I sit down here? There wasn't any paved area up here. So, you know, every time anybody went out, it was a big bowl of dust. There was no road here going down to there. There was an old building out here where your kids played in it. And I think it was a garage, was it? And the pigeon coops down here, there was that one still there. And I think there was another shorter one here, and then there was that building where you played. And then the trailer, Mom and Dad's trailer, was down there. And across from it was our garden, all in that area. And except there was one big long building like that with pigeons in it. And then we had a lot of big trees around. And coming around this way, of course, your house was smaller there then.
How do you spend your days now?
I spend a lot of them in the hospital. I spend my days working word games, which I have a puzzle right there, and reading.
You don't watch TV?
And yeah, well, I do at night. I always watch Jeopardy. Not always, but mostly.
Mm-hmm. I watch Family Feud.
Oh. Yeah, I watch that once in a while.
Yeah, it's kind of cute. I like his.
Yeah.
Where would you go on vacation if you could?
Probably Australia.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, I don't know, because it's far away, and it just, the things I've read about it, and don't ask me what I've read, because I don't remember. I was impressed with it.
Interesting. Do you know, because Australia is a big area, do you know where you would go? No, just somewhere in Australia. The outback?
I don't know, because I don't really know much about it.
Yeah.
That just was a dream that I knew was never coming true.
Go visit Dagmar and Homayon.
Yeah. I don't know if I would go because I know their bugs are really big bugs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't like that. I touched the Liberty Bell, said do not touch. And so I looked around, there was nobody standing there, so I stuck my finger through the hole and touched it. And not very long after that, they moved it. I don't know what they did with it.
Were you musical at all?
Not at all. I wanted to play a violin, but I was left-handed. Besides, I didn't have a violin. But being left-handed, you'd go, everybody else would be playing one way and you'd be going the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm.
So that wouldn't have worked. I inherited the piano, and of course no one here played. And it sat there for a while, and occasionally someone would come who knew how to play it. But I decided, okay, I'll take piano lessons. And so I did for a year. And I could only play one little thing. And Ode to Joy, I think, was the thing I learned to play. Not very well, but I did it, hit the right notes.
You passed your recital.
Yeah. And then I decided that was not musical.
Mm-hmm.
Probably roses has not always been my color, my favorite. Recently I've been leaning toward purple and purple's, what do I want to say? Lavender, purple shades. At one time it was yellow. It was green at one time. I had a favorite green shirt. I like colors.
And then what is the best way to handle stress?
Music, sleep.
Mm-hmm.
having 4 kids.
Okay, that's a good one.
Oh, sometimes I can't think of a brave moment. Sometimes I thought I was being brave, but I wasn't really. I got Violet off the railroad track one time. That was a pretty brave thing to do. I probably just stood there and screamed. I don't remember exactly how I did it, but we were walking down the railroad track because you had to cross tracks to get to town, whichever direction you came from. And there were no trains coming, so we were walking down the track. And all of a sudden, my mother said, the train, she said, get off the track, get off the track. And so I stood there, screamed. I don't think I made any effort to get her off. Anyhow, she got off in time. So here we are. I don't want to pick a happy moment because I've had many happy moments. Gee, that's a tough one. I think probably one thing is that nothing is forever. You always get through it, whether it comes out good or bad. And most things are correctable if you have the will and the knowledge to do it.
That's a good one.
Yes, there's enough room for all of your feelings.